Kamal, how you doing, sir? I got some questions about Thunderbolt. You ready?
I'm ready.
The main actress that was with the group Thunderbolt, her name was Florence. The girl had the little green under her eyes, whatever.
Right.
Tell me you wouldn't superpower or no superpower. Tell me you wouldn't.
Yeah, no. She
You would.
yes.
You went to
Florence.
you went to white chocolate. You went to that milk. Well,
I'm
not white chocolate, but that milk.
I'm into food. So white chocolate, dark chocolate, green chocolate,
Plain milk.
plain milk.
I didn't know that was your type, bro.
That was
I didn't know that was your type.
I'm,
I thought you was watching Thunderbolt because you was a Marvel fan.
no, I was watching it because of Florence Pugh.
So you a fan?
I am a fan. I wish she would do more stuff. I wish I could see her in more work. The girl is bad, but not only is she bad, she is an incredible actress. You thought, tell me if I'm wrong, you thought that she actually was Russian.
No, I didn't think she was Russian.
That's because you know her. If a
I've
person,
seen her. I've seen her before.
You've seen her before.
I don't know a lot of her work, but
right, and she doesn't always play a Russian. Most people who saw her for the first time saw her in the previous one where she was with her sister, and they literally thought that she was Russian. I mean, part of that has to do with makeup and hair and wardrobe and et cetera, et cetera. But the majority of making you think that she's Russian is her ability to act. So she's a baddie.
So you liked her in the film, of course.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
What about the other team members, I guess, of the Thunderbolt?
I agree with a couple of some of the other reviews that I would definitely have liked to see more of Ghost. She's incredibly attractive as well. But they kind of kept her in the shadows a little bit, and they didn't really give her a lot to do in that. So it's a few other reviews that I've watched that they agree with that yeah, we definitely wanted to see more of Ghost, but to see more of Ghost, which would mean we would have to see less of, you know, Florence.
Well, obviously that wouldn't have made the story bad for you. You wanted to see more of her. I guess they felt that you got to get somebody to carry the story. I don't watch a lot of MCU Marvel stuff, so when they have the big Avengers type worlds, I'm not sure who get most of the screen time. If it's spread equal or it's a leader throughout the pack. I'm not sure.
Well, it just depends on who is, it's usually in the title, Civil War or Winter Soldier or Endgame. You know what I'm saying? It depends on who's in the title. So in Endgame, we get to see more of Thanos. He has a lot more that he gets to deliver into it, and then Thanos has a deep relationship to each of the characters. So I think it's spread out equally among the heroes. But then you got Civil War, which is going to be more of Captain America. Is going to be more in that. Uh, well, is it? Yeah, it was Avengers Civil War, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I get them mixed up as well. These Marvel guys are going to chew me up. They don't want anybody talking about anything that they don't understand. Like apparently, to get to $11 million on opening night for this film that we just saw on Thunderbolts requires only MCU fans and not everybody else who's interested in watching a movie or wanting to talk about a movie. MCU fans are, if it was one here, I'd love to listen to them because I learn a lot. but the fact that they're the biggest critics and reject everybody else's opinion is kind of annoying sometimes. But
Well, MCU Marvel fan, they may look at it as facts if they know it like the back of their hand. Because I
yeah,
know many people do. Me, I'm not a fan like that. I've
right.
watched Batman, Spider Man stuff, but
Well, Batman
the
is the
worlds
competitor.
I don't know. I don't know the worlds like that. So I'm saying you a fan, but you a fan from afar. You'll
I'm,
go support and watch, but you
yeah,
don't dig deep into.
I'm gonna call those kind of fans. I'm gonna call them more of collectors. I'm gonna call them a collector than just a fan. They, without a doubt, will have stuff in their home,
And you don't have nothing
not a
in your
drop
house.
of anything
No,
other
no
than opening
Spider-Man mask, no
no
MCU shirt.
Spider-Man mask. This jacket is probably only thing that I can say is people have said, "Oh, you trying to be Blade."
They didn't say Blade, did they?
But I didn't buy this jacket thinking nothing about Blade. Um, which I believe that Blade, when that came out, it wasn't even in the MCU world. Like they hadn't established. It was like the first one, so they hadn't even established the MCU at that time. Though Blade is a Marvel character, comic book wise.
So what you think about the story of Thunderbolt? Like just the story alone. Obviously, it got the characters within it, which is pretty dope. But
I
what you
hadn't
think
even
about the
really
story?
thought about it. I mean, uh, so you got who I always confuse with Tina Fey, but you got Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who's playing the bad girl Valentina.
Yeah, well, yeah, she was bad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I always confuse her with Tina Fey for some reason. They kind of look alike to me. But anyway, you got her. She's getting all of this slack from the government because some people have died during these experimentations. She's wanting to get rid of all of the you know the leftover detritus of her past, which includes our lead characters. So that's how they all meet, because they were trying to they were given the assignment to kill each other. uh they form a team, and they're a misfit team. Egos are in place. No one wants to give up their role of leadership, but they band together and uh end up being introduced to this character, Bob Robert. And Robert is how the story goes is that when they give this serum, or this formula to turn a human into a super type of a soldier, that it is specifically designed for a clean heart, clean mind, clean body type of a person. But every time that they were giving it to that type of a person, it was failing. So here's Bob. Bob is a dope user, meth head, you know, uh, completely disturbed in the head, abused as a child, and they give this serum to him. People are like, this is a bad idea, but they do it anyway. And then Bob is it does become a pretty bad superhero, and he gets into his head, he gets into that darkness, and then start killing everybody. So that's pretty much the sum of the story. And of course, the Thunderbolts have to figure out how to defeat him. It was very feminine storyline. It was very, you know how you date a woman, and she's like, it's okay for you to talk about your feelings. It's okay for you to express, how you feel. You don't have to keep it inside. Not really understanding the DNA of a functioning man. Like, we're different. You know what I'm
You
saying?
think it was leaning more towards that way because the lead. Well, I'm gonna say Florence.
Mm-hmm.
That her obviously she was come off as the leader of the pack.
Elena
Um,
Bolivia.
so you think it was that because it was mostly like if it was a guy in the forefront,
Mm-hmm.
you think it would have been as feminine?
These days, 2025, yeah, I would.
Oh, okay.
I
You
would.
basing
It's
it
it's
off that.
not it's not it that part was in the story. You know what I'm saying? And that's been in a lot of these stories lately where, you know, there was a character called Michael. And Michael was an assassin for like a covert operation. This was a part of this film called La Film Nikita. And this was like in the late 90s, right? Everybody loved Michael, man. Michael didn't say a word. Michael just went in and just did his just did his job, and he did it with perfection. And it was in his movements and his actions. He didn't want to talk about his feelings or anything. Everybody loved Michael in the 90s. But now you couldn't make a Michael these days. That's not acceptable. You know,
Well, if you move in that direction, as if you say, trying to get a wider, broader audience of females to get involved in superhero movies, it's typically guys, going out there saving the day. Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Blade. How many? Well, are there women out there kicking butt? Yeah, it's women. It's women out there, but it may not be enough. So that's why they probably school more feminine.
it's not feminine because of the female. I'm not saying it's feminine because of the females that are casted. If you cast in females and you can be all females and have one or two guys in it, just let the one or two guys be actual guys and let the females in it be females. They're going to handle it. You hear the lines, when this was all being established. uh Give it a female touch. Let me, a good example. um uh Jason, Born Identity.
Right.
Jason needs to get some information, and it's going to require the girl that he's with to go in and to get this information from this hotel concierge, then come back and then get bring the information. So the plan was to go in and then to do this kind of surveillance type of stuff, and then to get access, and then to go to this other room, and then to get the documents, and then to come back out through the front door, right? Um, but she goes in and she just flirts with the concierge and has him give her the information that she needs, and then walks out the front door. And she saved like 20 minutes by doing that, because he was like, what did you do? And she was like, well, he was kind of liking me, so I just thought I'd ask him for it. And he was like, Jason was like, that worked? It's like, yeah. So here you got one extremely masculine character, Jason Bourne, and then you got one feminine character. I can't remember her name in that film, who was able to execute what she needed to do using her feminine persuasion, and it worked. There was a nice balance with it. I didn't feel left out or excluded, and the woman didn't feel left out or excluded. But in Thunderbolts, you got this super jerk who's like Captain America, but it's like what they call a B-list Captain America.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's a form of feminism. The way he was behaving, his little asshole type behavior
yeah.
is
The guy with the mask.
you're right, with the helmet.
Yeah, well, yeah, helmet. Did you
Mm,
think he was funny?
he had one funny scene that I still laugh at, and that's when Valentina uh calls him a B list Captain America, and he reaches for his gun. Like I said, I still laugh at it because it was like so perfect. like I'm just gonna shoot this bitch right now. Fuck this, all this talking. You know, that was a cool scene for him, but the rest of it was just, you know, like looking at a teenager in high school. You know,
I feel you. Was this one of your favorite? Well, obviously you've watched other Marvel films. Was this one of your favorites
out of
out of the ones you've watched?
Marvel,
Yeah, because I've watched some other ones, and
no,
I think they're a whole lot better.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I would say my favorite will never be with the group. I am a
Individual guy.
individual. You know, another thing I want to add before we wrap is that, and then I'll answer that question also, is that I do like, however, that there is this. Think of a high school and think of all the different cliques. You got the jocks, you got the cheerleading squad, you got the nerds, you got the gamers, you got all these different type of cliques. But one particular clique that is in a lot of schools are these depressed, um, kind of in their head. Oh, emo is what they call them. Now there's a kind of a fake emo where they just dress and listen to emo music, but they're really extroverts. Um, but the emos, the real emos, are generally one in all those other. So there's one emo that's a jock who's a really, he's sad, and then one that's a cheerleader. And a lot of times in schools, and everybody out there will know what I'm talking about, there'll be a time where all of us get together in one particular type of environment, one particular type of time, and we get to talk and express and talk about our feelings and things like that. So with that part of it, they're just using grown-ups for this film, Thunderbolts. They're using grown-ups to really talk about teenage issues. And I don't think that they have to do that anymore. I think they could have used teenagers to talk about teenage issues, but looking at these people, they're too old to be acting like that. And as far as my and that just brings me to the my favorite is always going to be Iron Man, out of all of them. uh just Iron Man by himself, and him doing, because he's definitely an introvert, and I love Batman too, but that's DC. But definitely an introvert, definitely in his head, definitely just want to work with his robots and drive his cars and have his fun with his lady friends. um and then when he has to get together with the group, then he will. You know what I'm saying? And he knows when to kick back and not be the leader, and he knows when to step forward and be the leader.
I guess it may be for that audience that grew up in those particular groups in high school, where you got all the different cliques in high school. And those high school students, obviously, many people part ways and stuff as they grow older.
Right.
But
Right.
they may not be a part of the group no more, but they still belong to the same group, a nerd group. So they just
Right.
making a film for them.
Oh yeah.
Like they graduated high school 10 years ago.
Right.
But they still belong in the nerd high school group.
Right.
And we making a film for them.
Yeah.
Everybody, all of them didn't grow up to say, I want to be a model Iron Man.
Internally, we're all at that age. You know what I'm saying? Like inside, we're all still that girl, who's experiencing her crush for the first time. That guy who is, uh, trying to fit in because he's with a military family, and he's having to travel, and it's always going to different, schools or whatever. So we every all of us, even me as 50 years old, I still am connected to those characters.
And from Thunderbolt.
from Thunderbolt, but just visually, they didn't have to be that. Oh, or if they're going to do it the way you're talking about, to talk about that, but no, they just, these are assassins, these are killers, and they make them more cold, like Elena's character. They made her more cold, more isolated, more adult when she was a kid and committing her first crimes, as opposed to now she's an adult and now she's like, I missed my childhood. So, there again, another film where a lot of psychology is involved, and even one of the characters makes a reference. If your therapy session is over with, can we go? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it is a lot of that in it. So, you know, some people are into that and some people are not.